Michigan election results.
Natural gas explosion in Seattle. I'm Melissa Lambert.
And I'm Dan Campen, and this is your Public Eye News. According to the Delta County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, a female subject has now been arrested in a methamphetamine investigation that occurred off of County Road 186 in January. The 23-year-old female was arrested and lodged at the Delta County Correctional Facility on the charge of conspiracy to manufacture methamphetamine. Her name is being withheld pending arraignment in the 94th District Court. Ontonagon Public Schools are closing early today due to illness. The school will let out at 12:30 p.m. According to Superintendent James Bobula, around 90 students were out with flu-like symptoms. The school will be closed on Thursday and Friday as well for cleaning and to give students a chance to get better. They will reopen on Monday morning. This is the third school to close this week due to illness. Both L'Anse and Sacred Heart in L'Anse closed Tuesday and are scheduled to reopen tomorrow.
Mather Nursing Center hosted their monthly Waffles and Welcome Breakfast today. The breakfast is an open house for anyone to come in and check out the area while eating good food. The next breakfast will be held on April 2nd from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and is free to the public. Not only does the center host waffle breakfast, but a chili cook-off will occur on March 19th. Anyone can enter their favorite pot of chili, and the first place winner will take home $100. And the 17th Annual Clean Snowmobile Challenge began Tuesday at the Keweenaw Research Center. More than 20 teams from across the country are competing for the most environmentally friendly snowmobile. Teams chose to compete in 3 snowmobile classes: spark ignited, electric, or diesel, and only the cleanest and quietest snowmobile wins. A driver from each team is taking their sled on an endurance run to Copper Harbor to test its emissions and to give a presentation on their design. All competing sleds will be on display at the Copper Country Mall on Saturdays for recruiters and the community to check out.
Donald Trump maintained his momentum by winning the Michigan GOP primary Tuesday, but the bigger story of election night was a stunning upset by Bernie Sanders over Hillary Clinton. With 98% of precincts reporting, Sanders had 50% of the vote compared to 48% for Clinton in the Democratic primary. Meanwhile, in the GOP race, Trump took 37% of the Republican vote compared to 25% for U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, 24% for Ohio Governor John Kasich, and 9% for U.S. Senator Marco Rubio. Because both Michigan and Mississippi award their Democratic delegates on a proportional basis, that means Clinton actually widened her lead over Sanders on Tuesday in the delegate count for the Democratic nomination. By winning Michigan, Trump has widened his lead over his rivals in the delegate count for the Republican nomination. And Mother Nature didn't do the Muskegon Winter Sports Complex, home to Michigan's only Olympic-style luge track, any favors this season. Unreasonably warm temperatures throughout much of November and December, combined with a noticeable lack of snow, made for a mild winter compared to the previous 2 winters. The multi-sport complex, located in the heart of Muskegon State Park, closed for the winter season over the weekend. Despite the difficulties caused by the weather, the complex's executive director, Jim Rudisil, is happy with the short but efficient season. Among the attractions hit hardest by the mild winter were the skating rinks and the cross-country trails, which saw admissions decrease by 20% in comparison to last year. Oftentimes, those facilities were unable to open because the conditions simply didn't allow them to. And stay tuned, because after the break, we'll be back with your national and international news.
Here believe that eating fat will make you fat. In this show, I separate fact from fiction. In just 21 days, we will transform how you eat and feel on every level. Give me 21 days, and together we can take back our health.
Thursday evening at 8, here on Public TV 13.
And welcome back. A natural gas explosion destroyed several businesses in a Seattle neighborhood early this morning, sending 9 firefighters to a hospital. According to Seattle Fire Department spokesman Corey Orvold, crews were responding to reports of a natural gas leak when an explosion occurred along a main north of downtown. A surveillance video from the Olive and Grape Mediterranean restaurant showed a bright flash at 1:43 a.m., followed by the room shaking and debris falling from the ceiling. The cause of the leak is still under investigation. There are no reports of any other injuries or anyone missing, but dogs were used to go through the rubble just in case. And Israeli security forces are on high alert this morning after 2 more attacks in the region. The violence, which killed 1 American, comes as Vice President Joe Biden visits the country. CBS's Jonathan Bigliotti reports from London.
Police secured the scene of yet another violent attack, this one on a bus near Jerusalem, where officers say 2 Palestinians opened fire, injuring 1 person. The shooting followed an attempted stabbing in the West Bank earlier in the day and a deadly stabbing spree the night before in Jaffa that killed American student Taylor Force. The wave of violence hit as Vice President Joe Biden visited Israel to meet leaders on both sides of the conflict.
The Israelis and visitors to Israel cannot go on being afraid.
Biden was just a mile away from Tuesday night's deadly stabbing, and his wife and grandchildren were having dinner in the area. Amateur video apparently shows the attacker fleeing the scene before police killed him. Israel is facing threats from outside the country, too. On Wednesday, Iran launched a show of force, reportedly test-firing 2 ballistic missiles, with the phrase, "Israel must be wiped out." It comes just weeks after Iran's historic nuclear deal with world powers. Biden says the U.S. will take action if the deal is broken. Jonathan Bigliotti, CBS News.
2 Baltimore school police officers have been charged after cell phone video surfaced showing one of them slapping and kicking a teen at a school while the second officer stood by. Anthony Spence and Sever Nabias turned themselves in Tuesday night, city police announced in a written statement this morning. Both are charged with second-degree assault and misconduct in office. Spence is also charged with second-degree child abuse. Online court records show both posted bond and were released on Wednesday. City police began a criminal investigation into last week's incident at the school after the 8-second clip surfaced. The school district has its own police force separate from city police, and the school police department is conducting an internal investigation. Amazing pictures are pouring in from a rare celestial event. People in Southeast Asia experience a total solar eclipse. As Don Champion reports, millions of people here in the U.S. will get the same opportunity next year.
40 million people in 3 time zones took in last night's total eclipse. In Indonesia, people cheered as they witnessed morning return to night. The rare phenomenon across parts of Southeast Asia happened when the moon moved in front of the sun, casting a shadow on the ground. In some places, the total solar eclipse lasted 4 minutes. NASA scientists were on the ground and used the opportunity to study the sun's atmosphere and solar storms, which affect planets.
But they can also impact our technology, satellites, GPS, and even be harmful to astronauts in space. So it's really critical that we understand the corona, which is where all this action is happening.
This video was taken on board an Alaska Airlines flight to Hawaii. The airline adjusted the flight plan so passengers could take in the sight. For the first time in 30 years, on August 21st, 2017, millions in the U.S. will get to experience a total eclipse. The temporary path of darkness will begin in Oregon, slicing the country down into South Carolina. Don Champion, CBS News.
U.S. Special Forces took part in a fierce firefight that reportedly killed more than 10 Islamic extremists in Mogadishu today. The troops were hoping to capture a high-profile target, and a Somali intelligence official said this person was apparently killed during the fight. Another Somali intelligence official said the exact target of the raid, if any, still remains unclear. The U.S. officials said American Special Operations partnered with Somali soldiers. The raid came 3 days after the U.S. carried out an airstrike on an al-Shabaab training camp that killed about 150 of its members, according to the Pentagon. And stay tuned, because after the break, we'll be back with your weather and sports.
Hello and welcome back to Public Eye News. My name's Dane Wormlinger with your local weather. As you can see behind me in the Academic Mall, grass is showing, and that's some good news. We've got some really warm weather on the way. Right now in Marquette, the weather's at about 34 degrees with winds north at 16 miles per hour, and the barometric pressure is rising at 29.90 inches. Looking into tonight, you can expect a cloudy evening with a low of 28 degrees and winds north-northwest at about 6 miles per hour. And into tomorrow, a partly cloudy day with a high of 39 degrees and winds north at 7 miles per hour. Let's take a look around your UP. In Sault Ste. Marie, it's about 43 degrees with cloudy skies. Manistee at 39 degrees with cloudy skies. Escanaba at 43 degrees. And down in Menominee, 53 degrees with a partly cloudy sky. Right now in Iron Mountain, it's 47 degrees with cloudy skies. Ironwood at 34. Up north in Houghton, it's 32 degrees. And back here in Marquette, it's 34 degrees with cloudy skies. Let's take a look at your week ahead. On Friday, you can expect a high of 54 degrees, a low of 41 degrees, and sunny skies. On Saturday, a high of 58 degrees, a low of 37 degrees, and sunny skies. And on Sunday, a high of 50 degrees, a low of 40 degrees, and rainy skies. Well, Kevin, the weather's sure looking bright, but I heard things are looking bright with the Detroit Lions.
Absolutely, they are. Detroit Lions fans are going to be quite happy with what developed today. Just one day after Calvin Johnson's retirement, Detroit has snagged the best wide receiver in the NFL free agency. The now former Cincinnati Bengals receiver Marvin Jones signed with the Lions just moments ago. Jones was the Bengals' top wide receiver and caught a career-high 65 passes for 816 yards last year. Jones will be the long ball option for Detroit. With receivers Golden Tate, T.J. Jones, and Corey Fuller, the Lions will have a good receiver core. Still, they are expected to be looking for a receiver in the NFL draft because the Lions have the 16th overall pick in the first round of the NFL draft. They likely will use to fill their greatest need for that, the offensive line. On Sunday, Steph Curry led the Golden State Warriors. They suffered their worst defensive performance of their otherwise stellar season. Monday night, the Warriors and Curry more than made up for it with their 45th consecutive home win. The victory was one for the record books, passing the previous record set by Michael Jordan's 1996 Chicago Bulls. Curry also took the evening to reach a personal milestone of hitting his 300 three-point shot. Golden State rushed out to a comfortable lead, then hung on to the end to beat Orlando 119-113 at Oracle Arena. Well, it's March again, and you know what that means. The reign of madness has begun, known as bracketology. The major conference tournaments have already tipped off several games today, and most importantly, every sports channel has a top pundits helping you understand the ins and outs of who could make the top 68 teams of this year's NCAA tournament. On the local front, Michigan State looks like the most hopeful to take one of the top four lines, but they first must win the Big Ten tournament. Indiana has the #1 seed because of their better standing during Big Ten play. State has the #2 seed and has a double bye, so it doesn't play until Friday. So, Alyssa, I understand you have a story where a guy wishes he had eyes in the back of his head.
It really would have helped him out in this situation, Kevin. Timing is everything, as a would-be robber in Pennsylvania learned Monday. Police say Victor Martinez Herrera pulled a gun on his taxi driver with a sheriff's deputy behind him. A Berks County sheriff's deputy approached the cab after it failed to move through a green light. Martinez Herrera was arrested and remains jailed on charges including robbery and terroristic threats. And a suburban Philadelphia transit worker found a bag loaded with over $15,000 in the middle of the road. The Philadelphia Inquirer reports that Bob Tracy was driving home from work when he saw that a black bag was in the middle of the road and he thought it was just a purse. The 61-year-old called the police and turned in the cash, and his wife said that he did the right thing even though he was $15,000 richer for half an hour. What would you guys do with $15,000 that you find in the middle of the road?
I feel lucky when I find a penny on the ground. Imagine $15,000. That's like luckier than winning the lottery, I feel.
I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to think that I'd turn it into police, but that's 15 grand.
Yeah.
Right, that's a lot of student loans you can pay off.
That's true.
And that's all the time we have for you today at Public Eye News. Tune in again tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.